waiting for Dontae Scott ever since we started this. In fact, Eric and I, when we started putting this together back in April, we were saying, okay, so who do we want on here? You know, who are some of our role models and mentors? And we said, Dontae Scott has to come on. And I just want to say, first and foremost, Dontae, I mean, it's been 5 years since we met. August, I think it was August like 22nd, 2015. And
Absolutely.
the just the transition, just from who you were then to who you are now, you know, and I'll let you introduce yourself in a moment, but for those of you who are new to this, when we put people through our Bold Advanced Leadership class, we get to see the heart, the core of the human side of people. And before you start, I found a picture, so I just have to show this.
Okay.
Do you remember that?
I do remember it. Is that when I got appointed?
You got the Purple Heart Award. You got the Purple Heart Award.
I remember that.
The Purple Heart Award is for the person that was in the class who truly was the giver, the supporter, the one that just came alongside people and just cheered them on when they didn't believe in themselves. And Dontae, that's who you are in life. So I'm going to just turn it over to you for a minute and just let you introduce yourself to the people who don't know who you are.
Absolutely. Hey, thank you, Mary. I appreciate that. So for everyone that don't know who I am, my name is Dontae Scott. I'm a real estate investor. I'm the founder of Flipping from Sale to Sale. I'm the president of Las Vegas Homes, Inc. and Housing Assistance Corp, which is a nonprofit that provides affordable housing. Just a little bit of my story, the abridged version. So at the age of 15, I was incarcerated. I was certified as an adult and sentenced to a 24-year sentence in prison. I ended up doing 10 years in prison. So from the age of 15 to 25, I was incarcerated. After being released from prison, I got into real estate right away. While I was in prison studying real estate, always had a passion for it. And so to fast forward from the moment I got released, I believe like 8 or 9 months later, a group of friends of mine told me about this list.
You froze on me, Dontae.
Okay. Am I back on?
You are back on, Dontae.
This is Murphy's Law. I'm so sorry. And I hope that you kept the crowd entertained.
That's okay. This is where we shift and pivot, and I just got to talk.
Absolutely. Let's get it back going. So after being released for 10 years, I believe that, just a little bit more, I've been active in my community. I'm an active real estate investor. I'm a real estate agent. I'm president of a housing authority, which is a nonprofit. We provide affordable housing. We've been featured on Clarkson show for our work. I sit on boards that give out millions of dollars to affordable housing and community development. And, that's kind of like the abridged version of, me being incarcerated to what I've been able to accomplish since I've been out.
So your title is How Our Adversity is Truly Our Advantage.
Absolutely.
So your greatest adversity was what?
My greatest adversity was being sentenced to prison. I believe that was one of my greatest adversities. Even before then, a lot of child adversities also. I grew up in a rough area, grew up without a father. My father passed away when I was 6 years old. So growing up in that inner city areas, growing up around gangs, all my life, that was hard. But I honestly believe that sentence was like the biggest adversity I had. Trying to figure out as a child, as 15 years old, how to survive in the penitentiary just was, it was a nightmare within itself, especially out here in the state of Nevada, because they house us with adults. So there's not like any special treatment or like you're on protective custody and you're like housed by yourself until you turn, you're housed with adults. So that by far was my biggest adversity, but it was one of the biggest lessons I learned while in that adversity, while going through that, that's been able to help me in my career even today and everything that I've accomplished.
Have you ever been angry at the sentence that you were given?
Yeah. I could break down a few different things. I never take away from what I did, the crime that I committed.
I never take away from that. I just know that, you know, as a child, there's just certain things that don't develop in your brain as a child. And for you to be sentenced as an adult when your brain doesn't operate as an adult, to me, doesn't make the most sense. But of course, that's just work I have to do with our criminal justice system. So I have been angry. I've been angry, embarrassed, extremely embarrassed by not necessarily the sentence, but just the whole experience, right? The whole experience. I've often questioned, like, was it all the time, like, was it worth it? I've tried to find meaning to, like, every single day that I did for 10 years, I've tried to find meaning for it. And to this day, I still question it.
Yeah, you know, when you talk about our brain, and we teach that, right? The studies show that a kid's brain is not even functional, it's not completely formed until they're 25 years old.
Absolutely.
Like the rational side of their brain is not even completely formed until you're 25 years old.
Absolutely.
And at 15, to be tried as an adult absolutely blows me away. It absolutely blows me away. And, you know, and I started to ask in the downtime when you disappeared on me, I put up a poll, you know, have you ever committed a crime? And, you know, it was half and half. You know, some of them said yes, some of them said no. And then I said, well, have you ever done anything that was stupid under the age of 23? And, you know, the majority of us have done some really stupid things. There is a book out, and this reminds me so much of your story, and I have a feeling you probably know. Have you ever heard of Catherine Hoke?
Absolutely. Definitely.
Oh my gosh, the Five Ventures. Oh, love her. Love her. She does this process. And when I heard her, she was on a podcast, and I was just crying because she walks people through this process about crimes, right? And it's a process called Cross the Line.
Mm-hmm.
So she has the people who are incarcerated on one side, and she has people who are helping guards, whatever, on the other side. And she'll say, you know, cross the line if you've committed a crime. And so all the people, who, of course, who are incarcerated are crossing the line, but the people on the other side aren't. And then she'll say, well, have you ever received a traffic violation? Have you ever stolen something and you weren't caught? You know, have you ever hopped a fence when it was private property, keep out, you know, stupid things that we do as a kid.
Absolutely.
And when it comes down to it, every single person has done something that they're not proud of. But, you know, Dontae, your mask has truly become your message.
Absolutely.
And so, you know, fast forward, because what you did is you completely changed the label. And 5 years later.
Definitely. To add on to that, Mary, one, I had to, as you know, it was hard for me to even accept it. So we talked about this earlier, how I just used to masquerade, and no one kind of knew my story. I was able to articulate myself very well, so no one knew I had ever been in prison, that I had been involved with gangs or any of the things of my past, and I hid behind it. And the thing about those masks is that we typically put them on throughout the day, right? Who we are in front of, you know, our husband or wife may be different from who we are in front of our employee or employers, right? And so as you go on throughout the day, you put these masks on. But what happens a lot of times is while you're putting on these masks, you get to a point where you start to forget who you truly are. Like, which person is actually you versus the mask, right? Because you may not take them all off at one day, right? You may go to bed with a few of them on, right? And so I think at that point, you know, because I was so afraid of being judged, that I forgot who I was, and it was extremely exhausting. Yeah. It's extremely exhausting to live every day being someone that you're not, so that the world can accept you. So I had to change it, not only for myself, but for others that were in similar positions as me. I had to create an atmosphere or an ecosystem that we could come to and be safe, take our mask off, be accepted, right? And then still show that what we can prove, what we can bring to society. Because a lot of times we're stopped. We have these hurdles that's placed in front of us before we even get a chance to say, hey, this is what I can provide to the world. And so I feel like my job and my duty is to create an ecosystem so that people that have something to give to the world can actually feel safe and comfortable to give it to the world.
So you went from buying real estate to now providing jobs and homes to people who are less fortunate. How did that happen?
You know what? I think as an investor, we always take this bottom line approach. So it's always at first, hey, how much money can I make, right? Does it make sense from a monetary standpoint? But when I end up, for a while, I was flipping properties in a certain area in Las Vegas. And after a while, I started seeing that a lot of the properties that I was flipping over there were actually going through foreclosure. And I didn't think it was like an anomaly. Like there was a direct correlation between the two, right? In the area that I was investing in and why so many foreclosures was happening. So I moved my office over there and started getting more involved with the community to kind of understand what was going on. And when I got involved with the community, I realized that, you know, a lot of this was due to like education. A lot of this was due to, you know, upbringing. A lot of our actions are like a direct result, right, of our psychology and our mindset. And so once I started seeing that, I was like, okay, I know I can get money. That's not the problem. But like, not really the bottom line approach. Really, what's my social after interacting with me, and what are they able to accomplish after interacting with me? And I think that's really where it started, is me getting involved with the community and seeing what issues was actually affecting that community. And from there, it just went off the rocker. I got obsessed with it. Not obsessed necessarily, the feeling of seeing people change, or interaction, or you a helping hand, or a phone call, or like we did for Jason, and you know, gave him a job in an apartment, you know, and being our property manager. Like things like that can go a long way when you believe in someone and when you plant those seeds. So, you know, that's the mission so far.
Well, and it's one thing to do something or say that you're going to do something, and it's another thing to do what you did. You literally moved your office in the midst of it, so you become one with them. You understand the environment. And how many people, like how many leaders are truly willing to get into the dirt with the people? They don't. Most people like it nice.
They don't. But when you yeah. But when you come from the dirt, it's like it's easier to play in. And so that's my thing. I think sometimes as our leaders or any position, like I know everyone wants to make it and get out. But when you come, I was molded there. So like it's easier to come back. And I'm ashamed that I even left in the first place. Like that's the biggest thing, is that everybody needs someone. Like everyone needs someone. And so like for us to take that approach as if like, you know, oh, that's their problem, or like that's their issues. Like, no, it's not. You know, it's all of our issues. So it was easier for me to go back to an environment that I came from. It felt like home. Around that community, around people less fortunate, if that's the situation, like it feels like home. And like they make me feel like I'm home. So I'm not doing anybody a favor. Like it's therapy for me. I need it. Like that. Like, you know, my community is doing me a favor. You know, they're doing me a favor.
So you're glitching a little bit. I don't know if you can drive closer to the signal.
Absolutely. 1 second.
Oh, you're better there.
Okay.
But you know, so you said something, you came from the dirt, but it's, you know, to understand where you come from, and it's another thing to still you're not a part, you're a part of it, but you're not a part of it. You came in, instead of being the label from the past, is now you're actually teaching and mentoring and giving people hope. You know, I want to go into Jason because I watched the Kelly Clarkson show and I was blown away, Dontae. I started crying. I was like, oh my gosh. So you buy this, it was a fourplex? It's a fourplex?
Uh-huh. Yes,
and,
fourplex.
So, and I want you to tell your story because you tell it so much better.
So we bought this property, of course, as an investment property. We work with our city officials. We work with different organizations, Southern Nevada Housing Authority. So we always had intentions of providing affordable housing with this property, but it was an investment property. But when we bought it, it had squatters in it. And so they had been squatting in each unit. They had it boarded up. They were pretty smart about how they had it. And so I went to them and I just told them, like, hey, listen, I'm an investor. I'm actually buying this property. We should be closing in about 2 to 3 weeks. So I'm giving you guys time to kind of figure out somewhere else to go because, you know, I have to do work. It is an investment. I'm going to need you guys to go. So, you know, everybody was in agreement with that. And so by the time we closed and we started construction, Jason basically came to the job site and he was one of the squatters and he was just like, look, I don't have anywhere to go. I don't have anything, but I'm good with my hands. And like, if you give me a chance, like, I'll show you, like, I can work. I'm real good with my hands. And at first I'm like, okay, I got you. You know, like it took a lot of courage to do that. He could have just snuck in at nighttime, right? And continued to stay there. I probably wouldn't have knew about it. We could have went through the process like I've done with other people and like called the cops, but he came there with value. Like, hey, listen, this is what I can offer you. So I let him work. He came back the next day. I gave him work the next day. And then just fast forward 3 months after that, when we finally completed this total renovation of this property, I seen him kind of getting a little anxious. Like he was wondering because now we got beautiful, you know, renovated apartments. He didn't know where he was going. And so I remember talking to my business partner, like, you know, man, like that's our boy. He part of the team. Like we have to figure something out. And so after we talked to him, we worked the numbers around. We was like, okay, we knew we would be able to afford giving him an apartment for free. But we didn't just want to like enable him. So we said, okay, listen, we give him the first year all the way free. Then we will hire him so that he can start picking up his own income. And so our goal, even since then, has been like now he pays his own utility bills, right? Which is a big step. We were just paying everything at first, but he actually came and was like, you know, I can afford to pay my utility bills. So he pays his utility bills. And so the next thing will be maybe he could pay half a rent. And then maybe he can pay. And that's the thing, was just making him go through the process of becoming and feeling like a man again. And so that's just to be able to see him go through that process has been everything for us. It's been every single cent we would have got if, you know, we had put another tenant in there.
Well, it's almost a process of how you teach a child, you know, they become like, they're like children, right? And so they don't know certain skills. They don't know certain things. You come along. It's like, you know, when the child learns how to walk and they're falling down and pretty soon they got these little legs and then they can start taking off. You know, children never come into this world learning how to run. And then all of a sudden they start taking responsibility and they start getting curious. They want more. You just did that for Jason. You came alongside of him. You gave him this safe, protective place. You taught him, you encouraged him to where all of a sudden he's like, you know, I can pay my own utility. You didn't just make him flounder, just cut him off saying we're done. You're holding his hand. You're being what a true support person truly is, which is the Purple Heart, Dontae.
Yeah, that's dope. Yeah, that's pretty dope. Yeah,
and now you have a little girl. Like you're totally breaking the cycle. And what you get to do with your girl, she's so blessed to have you as a daddy.
Absolutely. That I've never felt anything like that. As far as, I've never like had a moment where everything stopped and nothing mattered but that moment. That was the first time I got to experience that as with my daughter. And I can't tell you, like, I got vowed like to give her everything that I've never received. And not from a monetary standpoint, but just from attention and education and installing values and teaching morale. So those things like that. And so like that's been the dopest experience so far this year. Like that's been my biggest accomplishment. And I went through every emotion because I'm 32 years old. I never had practice, right? I don't know what it is to really be a father, so I'm learning. I changed the pamper for the first time last week, and like I've but just to go through this experience, I'm realizing, and as life starts to unfold, I'm starting to realize that as you think you're done, as you think you've reached the ceiling, whether it's your career, whether it's your relationship, whatever, like there's always layers, right? There's always more work to put in. There's always more to do. And so as life, like slowly but surely, I'm starting to realize that about life, like it's not over. And like sometimes we think so, we get in predicaments. I would have never thought, and I've been out 5 years now. I would have never thought 5 years ago that I would be doing the things that I'm doing today. Like whether that was traveling, whether that's my philanthropy work, speaking with you, going to a leadership retreat. Like I never thought that. And so what amazes me about life is that it's never over, right? Until it's over. And so as we're continuing to live, we have to like take that approach and like keep moving forward. We have to keep moving forward because sometimes we get in these positions and we just want to give up and we want to stop, but it's not over. And so with her, I'm realizing that it's just a new chapter. I thought I reached ceilings, but it's like it's a whole nother book when it comes to Taylor now. And so I'm just excited about it. I'm extremely excited about it.
Well, and it's a choice, right? Life happens and we're all at choice as what we're going to do with it. Where there's
Absolutely.
Resilience or adversity, you're either going to move forward or you're going to fall down. And it's literally a choice. Adversity hits every single person. But what do you do with it? Are you going to blame? Are you going to be, handcuffed back to whatever that is? Or are you going to say, not today, not today, I'm taking charge?
Absolutely.
Dontae.
I appreciate that. And taking those lessons, because sometimes, Mary, like we go through things and like it's so hard to get the lesson out of it while we're going through it. And so we don't know if it actually going to apply or help us. But if you could kind of be reflective of whatever you've done or whatever occurred to you in your life and really take the lessons, like a big thing about me and what's been helping me just in my career is just understanding that I can't do it alone. And I've talked about this before. I remember just real fast being in juvenile and like, I remember us as juveniles, 18 and under, having to stick together because the adults, like we had to protect ourselves. And, and like I tell you, we were housed with adults. And so I remember us coming together and saying like, hey, listen, anybody that's of our age, 15, 16, like we're not fighting alone anymore. Like, because at the time, like kids were being took advantage of, kids were being abused in prison. Like there was a lot of things happening to kids in prison. And I remember us coming together and like banding together to like, to protect ourselves. And even out here, life kind of reminds me of that like older inmate that doesn't care how old you are, how smart you are, your degrees, what you've been through. Like life will beat you down every single time if you let it. And you have to come together with people to fight it. You can't do it alone, right? You can't fight life alone. And every time you try to, I promise you're going to get beat down, right? And so like just learning little lessons like that, like in building a team around me has been like the biggest asset in my life. But I learned about building a team and building, I learned that in prison, right? I learned like the power of having a spotter when you're like working out and stuff like that. I learned that in prison. These are like lessons, like key lessons that I've learned in prison that I've been able to like apply to my real life that has like took me to levels that I thought I would never be. So our adversities are truly our advantage. People ask me all the time, like, why do you work so hard? And why do you, and I make it a synonymous to like rock climbing. And I was like, sometimes you know, you get people that rock climbing, they got like the nice harness, right? And they're strapped up. And so they're rock climbing, but they always know that if they slip, they're safe, right? People know they got a home to go to. They have family to go to. They may have a pension. They may have, you know, insurance policy. And so the way they move may be totally different from me when I'm rock climbing freehand. And so now every move has to be strategic and it has to be calculated, because if I slip on this rock and I fall, the consequences are a lot more dire. And so that's been, I think, my biggest advantage is that I don't have the harness. I think I don't have them safety nets. And so it's been able to let me move strategically and a little bit more aggressive in my approach. And so I'm thankful for it. I'm thankful for it. And at this moment, I've been able to be at a point where I understand why did I went through what I went through. I understand it now. You know, I understand it now.
So when are you going to write a book? Like what comes out of you, holy cow, I remember this, and both, like, there's so much wisdom and there's so many nuggets that people need to hear. Like, it doesn't matter, but people need to hear where they come from, where they don't come from. You have lessons that will wake people up. So when's the book?
I need help with the book. I definitely need help with the book, but I've been thinking about it. I finally trademarked from Cell to Cell, which is from CELL to SELL. So I finally trademarked from Cell to Cell, and I think I want to, keys to, turning your adversities to your advantage would be the book. I just need to start writing on it, but I'm gonna need help. Mary.
Okay.
Definitely gonna need help.
You talk about help, and you talked about your support. Who was the person who gave you wings to fly? Who was your hero?
You know what? And I made it on a message, and this is not saying cliche. That leadership program, I don't know, and I apologize because I don't think I've done the best job of letting you and Eric know how important that moment was for me. Those 2-3 days that I stayed there, and I had no belief in myself. Prior to that, I was dragged there. You know, I had friends that, basically pushed me to go there. And I never had no one believe in me the way you guys believe in me. Like, I never had anyone tell me that I was great as I was, the way that I was. And so for me, like, you guys really, and I know you give me all the credit, but you guys put something in me. You guys planted a seed in me that I promise will grow for centuries to come. The lessons you taught me and the things that you planted in me, I promise, I vow to plant in generations after me. And so, like, I'm extremely grateful for you guys, and I apologize for not letting you know it as much as I should, because I should be giving you guys your flowers every single day, and I don't. No, it's honest, very, like, you guys changed my life. You guys changed my life. And I want you to know that what you guys do, and I know you do it from the bottom of your heart, like, what you guys do is needed. Because maybe you may not be able to reach a different demographic. You may not be able to reach that community, but I can. And it's still the words of wisdom that you installed in me and the seeds that you planted in me. And so everyone that I reach is internally grateful for you guys. Like, thank you.
Yeah. I adore you, Dontae. I wasn't expecting that. I
love you guys. I do. I love you guys.
There's a quote, and I know I've said it before, and I absolutely love it. And it says, "A true friend is someone who helps you sing the words when you've forgotten how the song goes." And sometimes we don't even know how the song goes. When the student is ready, the teacher appears. And you were ready. And, it goes back into, we're all supposed to do something. Like, every single one of us has a gift. We have a strength. We have talents. We have whatever our thing is that we're supposed to do something with it. And we're not supposed to be small. And what we were able to help bring out in you, you get to do that for everyone. So tell me about your kids. Like, you're out there mentoring kids now.
Yeah, it's dope. The best thing and the biggest thing, I think the greatest reward, and like, I don't mean to like get like super spiritual, but like I'm at peace. I'm at peace because like the messages that I get, I see from young to old, brothers and sisters that may never have thought they could do anything in life, actually like hit me up and like have an interest. I feel like I've given them permission to be great. And that's that, like, you don't understand that feeling when I get someone that I know that maybe from a kid that we've gangbanged together or we've done anything, or maybe we're in prison together, and they're like, hey, I got a new business idea and I want to do this. Or, hey, I got this and I want to do that. Or I'm looking for this. Or I want some knowledge and what books. And so the conversation, the paradigm has shifted. And so I wanted that when they look in the mirror, I hope that they identify with me, so when they look in the mirror, they know they can be great. And I also wanted that when you look at us, when not you, but the society looks at people that look like me, hat to the back, right? However we come, that you don't make an assumption, and that you see, as you see in me, an entrepreneur, a philanthropist, a father, an educator, a fighter. I hope that you see that in the same eyes, right? I hope you see that in the people that look like me. That's my mission. And I don't know if I'm going to make it until I don't know if it'll be accomplished before I leave this earth. But if like I can plant those seeds and those around me that like I really do, because we need it. We need it so bad. We need it.
Woo! I'm just like, another Martin Luther King.
Yeah. We need it. I did not.
And that's one thing, Eric and I, when you walked out of Bold, we went, how do we get him involved with our youth? And that's still, there's a dream that we have in Dontae, and I don't know where it goes, but there's something that I still feel somewhere along the road that we're to be interconnected.
Absolutely.
Because you help us. And you help the youth, you help this world. Like, just even what someone just said, this is so empowering. Like, you are. And you're not ever meant to play small. You talk about books, and I remember that you were a reader. And I've been reading this book, and it's called Win the Dark.
I haven't read that one yet.
It's fantastic. It's a simple, easy read. It's more like a paragraph form by Joshua. And he talks about the dark is our fear, it's the doubt, it's the shame, it's the insecurities, and we all have it. Like, we all have it. And it keeps us stuck. And there's times where, in this book, he says you give it a name, like it's the little man, or the big man is the one that's empowering. I'm going to take on this world, and I'm going to have better thoughts and my affirmations and self-talk, and I'm going to focus on what I want. But the little man, the dark, will creep up in times that we don't know, and all of a sudden it's like, really?
Yeah.
You gonna do it again? You gonna fall? And it challenges us, and it's okay. And I love what he said. It's the dark. You admit the dark. This is what's happening. This is where I come from. This is my story. This is what I'm feeling. Because as soon as you do that, now you've taken back your power over it.
Absolutely.
So when you're in the dark, how do you win the dark? What do you do?
So for me, I'm very, like, I still have like my reclusive moments, right? And so I still have like those moments of solitude that I need, that I've been used to, right? From years of seclusion, like I still find that. I think what helps like me while I'm in the dark would be kind of like just self-reflection and seeing like the results. Like, that helps me when I'm able to see like, hey, listen, we got this going on. We did this for Jason. Jason calling and ready, if he calls and it's like, okay, boss, I'm ready for work, or, when I get my younger homeboys and they call and they asking, you know, can we get involved with that? I'm thinking when I'm seeing the results, then I can kind of like that. That's the self-talk that I need in the dark, because I do find those dark places, right? I just went through it, you know, getting my my agency license, but I think the results kind of help me, you know, and if the results aren't monetary, it's more of during the dark moments.
So lean back in, because you kind of you chopped up a little bit.
Okay, can you hear me now?
A
little bit.
So, and because I know what you're talking about, I want you to elaborate on it. So you just got your real estate license.
Yeah.
So that's big.
That's so, like, Mary, it's so dope because, you know, I'm an ex-felon, right? I don't hide that. And there's a lot of scrutiny, and real estate is a very traditional profession. It's very traditional. It's a very old school profession also. And so, you know, going through that process, that was crazy. That was because, again, it's not just passing a test and studying, and that was easy for me. It's the fact of me having to put down the crimes that I committed and actually explain it in front of a board, right? And then my nerves was wrecked. I mean, every day, Mary, I woke up, I was so stressed out, and for years, I never did it because I didn't want to go through that feeling right there, right? I didn't want to be judged all over again, and then I didn't want to be denied for you know, I didn't want to go through that trial. It felt like I was going through trial the same way I went when I was 15 years old. That was the feeling. But it was all worth it. And I'm going to tell you why. Not necessarily because I'm a real estate agent, because I've been involved in real estate. It's because now I've opened up not necessarily the door for everyone, but as far as the idea that it's possible. Now, I can't say everyone that committed a crime, I can't say that. But what I can say is that I sparked a level of interest, because after I even made a video about it, I mean, I must have got like 50 phone calls from people like, hey, where should I sign up for school at? Hey, man, do you think about this? What about if I want to be an appraiser? Man, this is my business plan. I'm telling you, like, sometimes we just need permission to be great. Like, so that process was good. I'm glad I went through all of that agony, all of that stress, and I'm glad I was able to, like, accept it and express it to, like, my audience, right? The people that listen to me, and so that they'll know, like, hey, listen, like, it's not as hard. It's not that bad. You know, like when you jump in water for the first time and learn how to swim. I don't know if you ever been there and you think like the water is like, I remember at Wind Wild, I went down this slide one time as a kid, and it was my first time going to Wind Wild. And I was so scared once I got up the slide in the water. I'm kicking, I'm screaming, I'm paddling, and the person was telling me like, hey, listen, just put your feet down. And I'm crying. And so finally he calmed me down, and I put my feet down, and I realized I could stand up in the water. Mm. And it was like, sometimes that's all we need. All we need is somebody in that water just to stand up and say, hey, listen, it ain't that deep. Right? It ain't that deep. You can stand up. You know, you ain't got to be afraid of it. So that was dope. Yeah, that was dope.
So you talk about giving people permission and thinking about what's possible because of what you're doing. You're opening doors and seeing that. I didn't even realize that ex-felons were never allowed to vote. And now y'all get to vote in Nevada.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
So everything that you do, Dontae, it's this ripple effect that people are like, wait, I didn't know I could do that. If he can do that, I can do that. And I can go down that slide. Someone's going to catch me.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to drown. I can stand up. But it's our fear, right? The fear is the false evidence appearing real. That win in the dark, that dark will keep us stuck if we don't know how to win the dark.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to open this up. Hang on one second. Because
take your time.
But I'm going to open this up. If people have any comments or questions that they want to ask Dontae, will you put it in the Q&A? And then I'm going to bring you in. I have Michael Goder is on here, and so is Renee Verklin from your Bold class.
Hey, tell him I said.
I know, and they said, first, baby is gorgeous, and of course, come back. You are the very best version of you to ever walk the face of this earth, is what Goder says. Keep it up, brother. I love what you said. You've
That's
given
my
us
brother.
permissions to be great, blazing the trail, doing what others aren't willing to do, that so you can achieve things that others will never achieve. Keep blazing that trail. He is so dead on.
That's my brother right there, man. I think I still have a picture with me and him when he did the confidence fall, and I had him. I'm gonna have to sit on that picture. I'm gonna definitely have to sit on that picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Renee Verklin, she just says that she doesn't have a question. She just wants to say that she can listen to you for hours and that you rock.
Tell my friend I appreciate her and I love her. Thank you.
You're welcome. So as if there's other questions or comments that come on, I just want you to think about this. So this is your podium. What's the message that you want to get out to people? If you can put anything out.
I would say this. I would say that people always talk about the harvest, but it's truly a seed conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And like, we don't plant cabbages and grow potatoes. You know, we don't put apple seeds into the ground and grow oranges. In that same sense, we don't plant negativity into the world and get positivity. And we don't plant scarcity to the world and get abundance. These are universal laws. I say, really start having seed conversations and realizing that your harvest is a direct result of the seeds that you're planting into the world.
So good. So good. I've never heard it said that way. Oh my gosh, that needs to go into your book.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think so.
I have a gentleman by the name of Kirill who has a question. So Kirill says, what is your why? What helped you get through 10 years, probably agonizing years? And when did you decide to turn your life around?
So my why have developed, throughout the time. I think our why constantly develops. Again, I think my why now is what I said earlier is I want to give permission. I want those that come from similar situations like where I come from, I want them to have permission to be great. Like that's really my mission. That's my why. That's why I wake up. That's why I teach. That's why I expose information, is that I realize that the fight, because it's still a fight, right? We still have layers to pull down, that I can't do it alone. And so we need an army, right? I need an army of entrepreneurs. I need an army of intellects. I need an army of, I just need an army of inspirers. I need an army of dreamers. I need that army, right? For us to be able to get to where we're at. Because society isn't the best right now, as we see, right? And so we need to be able to get there. And so that's my why. But at first, I have to, one, create that environment. And then two, right, after creating that environment, being able to expose, right, and educate and help them apply all the information they need to be able to be my advocates. So that's my biggest why, to create an environment that's conducive for people around that come from the same environments that I come from, to be able to to be great. As far as getting through that 10 years, one, I had to. And so it's easier to get through things when you have to, but sometimes you take scapegoats. Like, I know people that, were on medication the whole time, so they didn't really have to deal with it, right? You have different people that distract themselves. What helped me get through it was education. I've read, anyone that was ever incarcerated with me, from I'm talking about from wardens, COs to inmates. They knew me for just being an avid reader. And so I was able to escape through books. I had never traveled at the time. So my first experience with Europe was through Ernest Hemingway's and stuff like that. So that was my escape. That was my escape. So reading, education was my escape. Yeah.
All right, start video.
That's my brother.
Wow.
Oh my God, so good to see you. I'm one of those, I'm always, following you, man. Everything you're doing, and I'm just so proud. And just you were talking about that panelist, and I almost put in the question, hey, when is that kind of like standing in front of Mr. McGrath that first day when you got 2 minutes, you got to have your hands down by your side and you can't move?
That's the hardest 2 minutes of your life.
Oh, and I thought I nailed it. And he's like, you chose to fail yourself. I still get pissed off at that guy. But I love him.
You love him.
Love him with
Love
all my
him.
heart, dude. So proud of you, dude. So proud of you. Hey, just like you, I mean, blazing a trail, always trying to do everything to go outside in that comfort zone. But sometimes, fear, I mean, whether it be the fear of unknown or, the just fear in general, I mean, it can almost freeze people, at least for me, to where, I have a great idea. I believe in it with all my heart. I know I can do it. But it's just, you've got a family, you've got responsibilities, you've got employees, you've got, these responsibilities of life. So what do you say? Like, what do you do, man? Like, how do you take that step? Like you're all in, you've got something, but man, it's just like, I'm almost froze sometimes to take that step, even though I believe in it. Like, what do you do? What do you feed your brain? What do you tell yourself? How do you get over that to take that first step and just go?
All right, I got you on that one. And so, I of course, this is the biggest thing that helps me, and this is about, like, really taking your adversities. And I think we all have them, right? Whatever that may be, right? I think I know what real fear is, right? For me, fear was, the possibility of spending the rest of my life in a penitentiary. I know what that felt like. Right? I know what it felt like to be in front of that judge, for her to sentence me, and like for me to be thinking that I was never going to get out of the moment. And I compare it to whatever I'm feeling at that present moment, and it doesn't never weigh up. Like, it's not fear. Like, I think we all know, Mike, me and you we had good conversations. I think if you could go back to a moment where you felt real fear, right? Because we all have them. For some people, it may be, like I said, for me, it was incarceration. For some people, it may be abuse. For some people, it may be cancer. I don't know what it may be. But we all know what real fear is. And I think sometimes we forget because of the moment, right? We have these little pockets of moments where we slip up and we forget. And I think if you could sometimes just stop and be present in the moment and compare it to when you really felt fear, where you really felt it, right? Not thought about it. The thing about fear is a feeling. You feel it. It's almost like a being within itself, right? Real fear. I tell you, man, it don't stand up against it. It's like a little ant to a giant. And I think when I do that, that's when I kind of laugh of it. Like, bro, what are you like, really, what are you doing? You afraid to take your real estate exam because you're scared to get judged? Like, is that really that's the conversation we have in here? Does that compare? And so I think that's what I do. I take it to my real fearful moments.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Thank you so much, dude. This is exactly what I needed right now.
Absolutely, brother. I love you, man. I miss you. Can't wait till you come back to Vegas, man. We got to do dinner again.
I'll be back.
All right. Tell the wife and kids I said hey.
You too, man. Congratulations on the baby.
Man, thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
Thanks. All right, holy cow, we have so many questions coming up. Actually, Tony Everett has a few of them. He was your sidekick in Bold, so I'm going to let him.
That's my boy, Tony.
Yeah.
Dontae,
Hey, Tony.
it is awesome to see you.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm well, my friend. How are you?
I am great. Thank you for asking. There was so many things that you said there that was just unbelievable. The conversation that you had, that you said, when you're from the dirt, it's easier to go play in it, blew me away. Brilliant statement. I love it. What behavior change, or how did you create the behavior change that created the change in you and who you have become today?
So not to get into like science, have you guys ever heard of the term mirror neurons?
Yep.
Okay, so exactly that. So mirror neurons basically says that we learn more from what we see others do than any other form of learning, right? Mm-hmm. So that old saying, hey, birds of a feather flock together, or tell me who you hang with and I'll tell you who you are. It really has like some scientific ground to it. The biggest thing I had to change my environment.
Mm-hmm.
And when I changed my environment, naturally, my behavior started to change. And so what's pretty interesting about that is that you can almost manipulate the system. It's almost like being in a matrix and recoding it. And you thinking, if you have this idea, I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur, right? I knew I wanted to be a real estate investor. I end up moving in with 2 real estate investors who happen to be entrepreneurs, right? These are guys that I woke up with, went to sleep with, worked out with, cooked with, shared, laughed with. And guess what? My behavior, without me even knowing it, started to change. It started to change slowly. And so that was the biggest thing for me that I've learned, is that you can manipulate the system. It's really not that hard when you think about it. You just have to find an environment that's conducive for you to be the individual that you say you want to be. And then go in that environment, and I'm telling you, naturally, your mirror neurons will kick on. Your natural survival instincts will kick on. You don't even have to do anything about at that point, but be in that environment, and you will slowly start to adapt the behavior patterns of those around you, on the positive or the negative.
Yep, for sure. Love it.
Yeah.
Thank you. And then the last question: how do I get you to talk to my Pure Game kids?
We've been talking about that. I'm pretty. Of course, I'm a new father, right? So I'm a new father. So I really would like it. If it's like a 2-day, 3-day thing, I could get away. Like anything longer than that is kind of.
Hey, right now it's all Zoom. It's all Zoom. And we have these issues.
Yeah, we could. We were supposed to. You hear me?
Yep. Yeah, can now.
Yeah, you were in the slow-mo.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, if you could give me like a week heads up, Tony, let's connect. Let's get it done. I would love to.
Mary, I'll let you.
Okay. Sweet. All right. Thanks. All right. One more question. Let me see here. This is a surprise. I'm not going to tell you who this is.
Okay.
Goder has to run. He said, love you. Jackie says, wisdom. Change of environment. Thank you. Great insight from Diana. Real fear. Totally picking that up. Applying little ant to get the giant.
Look at my friend.
I forgot my question. I'm sorry.
Look at you. Oh my God, I miss you. How are you?
Me too. I'm
doing?
great. I'm doing really good. And I got to tell you, you said when you went to Bold, you had a mask on. You were the first person that I had to interact in some very scary situations.
Yeah.
And you let it all out and told me everything.
I did. You were the first person I opened up to. Did no one even know? I did.
Yeah.
I did.
Still gets me choked up. You guys had me crying earlier too.
I did. I appreciate you so much. Even
I
through
don't
all
like
of
to tell people I'm proud of them because it sounds condescending, but you inspire the hell out of me.
I appreciate that, my friend. I appreciate that. And I appreciate that. You know what? Since Bold, Mary, you don't know, but like me and Renee, we communicate. Like we've kept in contact. Like we check on each other. She's very good at that. And like that, you're truly my friend. Like I appreciate everything about you. I miss you.
Thank you.
And
Next time I come to Vegas, we're going to dinner.
We're going to dinner. We're not going gambling. We can go to dinner.
Yeah, we'll go to dinner.
I love you and I appreciate you.
Thank you. Me too. Right back at you.
All right.
Love you, Renee.
Bye.
Bye. All right. So I'm going to do one last poll. I know people were right at our time. This feedback, if you want to connect with Dontae, that's on there. This is multiple choice. So if you want to connect with Dontae, I know that you're always looking for people to help, to support, to encourage. Are you okay if I give them your information?
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Give them my, definitely. You definitely can.
So wrapping up, final thoughts.
So I just want to say to you and Eric is that like continue. Like I know sometimes like life is a roller coaster. I know it takes us up and down, but I hope that you see that what you've been doing not only has worked but was needed. And it's the pay it forward effect, right? It's the triple effect. It's the compounded interest. You guys only see maybe your students and how it affected them on face value, but you don't see the thousands that's affected by that same knowledge that you have implemented in us. You don't get a chance to see that, but I want you to know that it's real. Like you guys that have impact. I know for a fact that there's about 1,000 under me that's been impacted. So I can only imagine of the hundreds and hundreds and maybe thousands that you impacted on a personal level, right? Continue it. It's needed. And I think I speak for everybody. I say that we're extremely grateful for you guys. Like we're extremely grateful for you guys. And I think it has to feel good to know your purpose.
Yeah. You know, it's people like you, Dontae, that this makes it worth everything. Because you're right, I don't. You know, there's times that I wish and I hope, you know, and I do, and I know I have my purpose and I get to live it. But just like you said, we don't get to see the ripple. And to see the ripple in you, the people that lives you touch, it's, you know, but it's right back at you. And I know it's hard, like, you know, it's hard to just take it all in because I want to give it back. And I just want to say thank you for who you are and for being such a role model. When I said earlier, you're my hero, dude, you're my hero. Like you are my hero. When I look at you, I go, what excuse would I ever have? And what you talked just with Michael Goder, you know what real fear is. And if you get out there and do anything and everything, why can't we? You know, and it's just one foot in front of the other. And to really look at, okay, how am I going to win the dark today? How do I use my adversity to overcome and set up my life?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I just appreciate you. Thank
Absolutely.
you. So one last thing, how do people get involved with you? So I know that you have the kids with the Shark Tank. Is there any way to get involved with you within the community? Did we freeze?
We're on Facebook, Housing Assistance Corp. So HAC. We're on Instagram is Housing Assistance Corp. If you type it in, housingassistancecorp.com is the website. Even on Facebook, on my personal Facebook, Dontae or Dontae Scott on Instagram. Just get in contact with me. I'm not hard. I'm not like, I will respond back to you. I'll call you. I'll meet you for lunch. You know, like, you know, we can get on phone calls, FaceTime. Just let's I'm with everybody that's for the movement, whether you're planting seeds in yourself or you're planting seeds in the universe. Like I'm an advocate for that, because what I realize is that you're always affecting others, even when you do nothing at all.
So true. Woo.
Oh,
so true.
True. So, like, I'm for it. I'm for the movement. I'm for it all.
All right. Well, thank you so much for making this happen. It was meant to be today.
Absolutely.
Let's do this again.
Absolutely. I love you, Mary. I love you, Eric, wherever he's at somewhere. And you guys keep going, okay?
Thank you. I love
All
you.
right.
Have
Bye, my
a
friend.
good
Love
day.
you.
And can't wait to see more pictures of your baby.
You will. I'll send you some videos of her.
All right. Take care, Dontae.